What's going on YouTube? This is going to be an interesting video because my Ducati just caught fire and it no longer runs. What the fuck? So in this video, we're going to be tearing it down, finding out what pieces actually caught on fire, and hopefully we can find out why it caught on fire as well, so I can help you guys prevent this from happening to your bike as well. Because these bikes are expensive. Obviously, you don't want them just lighting up in flames. So let me give you a little bit of background information on what actually happened. I filled this bike up at the gas station and I drove it maybe 2 kilometers. So the fuel tank was right full and I parked it on a pretty steep driveway and turned it off. And I did a couple of really hard pulls before that, so the bike was nice and hot. And I think I have a ballpark idea of what happened to it. This bike has a charcoal canister delete, the evap canister. Pretty common on these because the emission systems don't work that well and they cause starting issues, so people just rip them off. And I think there's a couple of vent lines coming from the tank in the front fairing area. And I think because my tank was really full, I might have had a little bit come out or some raw vapors because the tank was almost a little too full. I think I topped it up more than I should have, so it might have been my fault. But regardless, it shouldn't have caught fire. The flames were coming right out of the fender here, and I was really lucky, put some water on it quick. But now the bike doesn't start at all when you turn it on. Yeah, it's showing it's in second gear, and it's definitely not in gear. It's in neutral right now. It was showing third gear yesterday. So obviously the bike doesn't crank because it thinks it's in gear. I bump started the bike just to see if it would catch and run. It does run if you bump start it, but I did a little bit of a pull and it kind of started to misfire and run like shit too. So I think I have some burnt wires or some damage in the harness where it caught fire. You can reach your hand in there and it's definitely a little crispy under there. You can almost see some discoloration there where the flames were starting to crawl up the plastic. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. So we're gonna take some fairings off and assess some damage here. But yeah, that little bit of a misfire when I did get it running too, it's concerning. This bike is gonna need some work now. And I'm stressed out. This is a piss off, guys. So potentially 2 different issues. It thinks it's in gear, so I think there's a couple circuits monitoring that portion of it. And maybe an ignition coil circuit as well, because it felt like it was sputtering under load. I couldn't really take the bike over 4,000 or 5,000 RPM because it just started to misfire that bad. Luckily we had this big bad boy, the savior. And this bike is such a love-hate relationship. Do you ever see those triangle charts where you can have 2 out of the 3 items? Looks, performance, reliability. And this bike looks so good. And it's so fast. And here we are with the reliability. Non-existent. Oh yeah, look at that. Let's keep digging. Oh yeah, you can definitely see down here. Ooh, that is crispy. This is definitely where the fire's starting. You can see at the end of this hose. So it kind of comes up behind this plastic fairing. So I think that's gonna be a drain or vent hose. That probably went to the stock evap canister. I think I was right with that assumption. And we probably got a little bit of raw fuel. And of course the header is right here. Oh yeah, look at this. Dumping right onto the exhaust. Are you serious? The downside to buying a used bike, somebody else obviously did the delete on this, and you never know if people are doing these deletes properly. This hose should never be dumping right onto the exhaust. Whoever did this should be shot. Oh man, this is brutal. So that's definitely an issue. We're gonna be rerouting these hoses, and I'm not sure about this aftermarket fuel cap either. I'm not sure if this is actually sealing the fuel properly from puking out that hose prematurely. So this probably isn't the greatest, and that hose location is definitely an issue. If you guys have experience with these fuel caps, let me know in the comments below. Are they junk? Should I take it off the bike? So we got this trim off. Oh man. She is crispy. And we got some damaged wiring, that's for sure. Look up here. Oh, this is gonna be brutal. There's definitely some broken circuits in there. And these are all very important circuits because this looks like a EBCM, like controlling your ABS and a lot of your pretty high speed data coming from the wheel speed sensors and ABS system. Oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. And this part looks like a nightmare to try and take off to access these wires. Man, this is brutal. So basically, if you're buying a used bike, make sure your evap canister was removed properly. This crispy hose should be routed as far away from the exhaust as possible, or exit below it. I'm gonna try and route it right to the tip of the bike here and keep it as far away from the exhaust as possible. You're gonna have to be careful with this as well, because obviously the radiator is gonna get nice and hot. This hose is gonna be really hot. Not as hot as the exhaust. I don't think it'll be as big of an issue here somewhere. Dumping raw fuel onto the exhaust, no wonder it caught fire. I'm surprised I was able to put it out at all. So got this plastic trim out of the way, and yeah, here's a crispy line going right to the tank, right there. So that is the cause, and this is the outcome. So that full harness going to the EBCM, cooked. Not sure what this harness is, but it is in rough shape. I've had a lot of work ahead of me. Yep, this sucks. A lot of these wires are kind of melted together, and you can see bare wire exposed. So they're probably all shortened together. Yeah, you can't even really pull these apart without wrecking the insulation on them. Everything's crispy. This thing fucking smells. Oh, nightmare. Yep, this is bad. So I plugged everything back in. I just pulled these wires apart because I think they were melted together. And now that nothing's kind of shorted out, the bike is showing neutral, and I don't think I have any codes. So I got somewhat lucky in an unlucky situation, but we're getting close. Now I know that nothing's too fucked up. Just have to repair all the bare wiring, reroute this guy, and we should be okay. All right, making some progress. It's late. All the wiring is kind of tied up here. So hopefully got all the circuits fixed, and now I'm just fixing the root cause. Good thing I checked this other line too, because we have a big hole burnt in that. This one's routed properly. It kind of goes down and it vents through the plastics to the outside of the bike. So I'm trying to plan where to route both of these lines. The hard part is the exhaust kind of runs the full length of the bike. I was thinking of trying to route it to the back, but the engine gets hot and all the exhaust components under the seat, so back's not an option. I was thinking of putting it up under the front fairing somewhere here, but I don't want fuel vapors kind of being sucked in through the rad either and back onto the engine. So I think I'm gonna drill a tiny little hole on the bottom of the fairings here and vent out the bottom here somewhere. There is a fan at the bottom, so not a lot of real estate here. But we're making progress. I have spent countless hours fixing that wiring, so this cannot happen again. I have to be very precise with where I route these hoses and make sure it's done properly. All right, got all the electronics plugged in. I just want to make sure it starts, make sure this wiring is good before I wrap everything up. And I came up with a game plan for these vent lines. I'm going to use a T-fitting, something like this. I'm going to connect them both at the bottom. And then I'm going to use that factory port that goes through the plastics. So then I'll have a T kind of somewhere safe up here. And then it's going to purge outside of the bike underneath the exhaust. I think that's going to be the safest way to do it. All right, moment of truth. Hey, it's showing neutral. That's a good sign. No check engine light yet. Nice, that makes me happy. She lives, we saved her. But that's it for tonight. I'm gonna wrap these couple of odds and ends up tomorrow after I get a proper size vacuum fitting there to tie the lines together. And we'll take it for a good rip and make sure everything's good. But it's pretty promising so far. All right, so I'll show you the finished routing here. So that one fitting here is actually for the rad. She goes up to the overflow tank. So I didn't use that. I found the actual port here. Factory port draining onto the ground. So that's the correct routing. I used a little T-fitting here. I am gonna add a little bit of insulation because it's sitting up against the rad, but that is the factory routing, so it should be all right. So that hose is going straight up to our breather on the front, and the one on the back, I routed around the BPMV and EBCM and kind of came down, trying to keep it as far away from the exhaust as possible. So much better routing. And once I add a little bit of insulation wrap around these, I shouldn't have any other issues. That's a much better setup, proper, and we're gonna be good to go. So let's get the fairings back on and get this thing wrapped up. All right, so just got it up and running. Took it for a quick rip, as you can tell by the milky sight glass there. Didn't have it running for that long, but it's running good. It's not misfiring anymore. No codes on the dash, no ABS lights, no nothing. So we saved this Ducati. This was a lot of work. So to summarize this video, if you're buying a modified bike, make sure the mods are done properly. Don't let a couple of hoses that are routed incorrectly set your bike on fire. If I was buying one of these bikes again, I would check the evap canister before even riding it. It's not worth the risk. I really hope this video can help some people just know some of the risks with these bikes and just know what to look for and save you guys some headache in the future. I wouldn't really say this is a fault with the bike. It was an issue with the previous owner installing, or in this case, removing parts from it incorrectly. So at the end of the day, this is still an amazing machine. I'm glad we could save it, and I'm still really enjoying my ownership of this bike. But thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. We'll catch you in the next one.